This shows you how early Bitcoin is in its cycle, yet look at where the price is already. We already had 3 halving cycles. We're about to enter the 4th. But what about all the ones afterwards? We still have a 5th, a 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th. By the time we get to 10th halving, there's basically no new Bitcoins that will be circulating. The halving event cuts the supply of Bitcoins being released in half every 4 years. This next halving brings it down to 3.125. Then the one after that, 1.6. Then the one after that is 0.8. The one after that is 0.4. Then 0.2, 0.1, then 0.05, right? By the 10th halving event, only 0.05 Bitcoins will be released per block. Think about it. It's going to get so scarce. And imagine the demand basically going up. You're going to have demand doing this and supply doing this. You know, you do the math. This really does a good job putting things in perspective. Like, hey, even though we have come so far, there's so much left. And I can't imagine, you know, we're all looking for next year and the next 2 years, right? But the halving event after that isn't too far off. That's only another 4 years. So that's 6 years. And then you put another 4 years, 10 years. That's the next halving event. Time moves really quickly, really, really quickly. So you don't have to just focus on this halving event. What about the one after that and the one after that? That's still within 10 years. That's why Cathie Wood believes right here, by the 5th halving, by 2030, she believes Bitcoin will be at $1.5 million already. By 2030, that's only 7 years from now. Well, it's actually less than 7 years. Think about that. If you look at this, the number of addresses holding at least 10 Bitcoins, all-time high, past the all-time high set in 2019, okay? There are 157,000 wallets holding at least 10 Bitcoins. This is a really high milestone for most people. That means you're holding over $280,000 worth of Bitcoin. But here's the thing. Through DCA, it is possible. It seems like it's unfathomable for most people. I know before when I was living paycheck to paycheck and I had credit card bills and a mortgage and car loans, right? To think to have $260,000 worth of Bitcoin at that time seemed like it was virtually impossible. But I could tell you it can happen through slow accumulation, DCA over the years. And that's why you got to look at crypto winter as accumulation phase, right? Those that really want a DCA, they want time on their hands and they want prices to stay low. And that is kind of like the gift of crypto winter. From 2021 all the way down to the bottom of 2022. And then we stayed there for a very long time, all the way until earlier this year. But still, we're still low. Even to this day, we're not back to the previous high yet, right? But if you do it slowly, week to week or bi-weekly or month to month, you could get there. A lot of people have become whole coiners. A lot of people now have more than 1 Bitcoin, 2 Bitcoin, 3 Bitcoin, right? This is the time to be accumulating because right now 10 Bitcoins equals $280,000. In 5 years, 10 Bitcoins will probably be worth $2.8 million. You know, I mean, it's going to get much harder from here on out to DCA. This is already very high, but in 5 years, in 10 years, in 20 years, it's never going to get this low again. The train has already left the station and is only accelerating right now, right? But this goes to show you a lot of people are stocking up and loading up Bitcoin, right? And if I showed you number of addresses holding at least 0.1 Bitcoin or 1 Bitcoin or 5 Bitcoin or 7 Bitcoin, they're all at all-time high right now. That shows you how strong the conviction and faith of the Bitcoiners are, and shows you how strong Bitcoin is. When vast majority of the Bitcoins out there are held by long-term holders and have not been touched for years, right? That tells you something. So this is the new record, and I'm sure we'll form a lot more in the upcoming weeks and years. But again, this plays into what I've been saying all along. The growing fundamentals, okay? Bitcoin's fundamentals have never been stronger than now. And I could prove it. Now, as for Bitcoin's price movement, I did say this morning, we started going up yesterday already. Since this weekend to now, we're up almost 2,000 points, about 1,600 points, okay? Now, if you look at this from Mustache, well, that looks very, very, very similar to what happened back in 2020, right? It does look very similar. So are we preparing for that huge run up? The only difference is that was coming right after a halving event. We're a little bit early. We're not at the halving event yet, but we're getting closer. We're getting really close, right? But we're starting to see that uptick. And once it starts moving again, it's going to be phenomenal. All it takes is a little bit, maybe some more short squeezes, maybe a spot Bitcoin ETF approval, or maybe nothing at all. Just slow and steady growth until we hit that halving event, right? And that's when the parabolic phase starts. We're so close to that. Less than 6 months away if you think about it. Retail sales rose 0.7% in September, much stronger than estimate. That's probably why, right? Again, why is strong retail sales causing the market to go down? It's because people are fearful of our Fed Chair Powell. They're afraid this is another reason for him to keep on raising rates. There's another one that's coming up in November. It's kind of iffy right now. It's like a 50-50 chance if he raises or just leaves it alone. So, yeah, that's why still we're unfortunate. I mean, I've been talking about this for over a year now. Unfortunately, we're living in a time where strong economic data for the U.S. leads to a market sell-off. And it shouldn't be like that at all. It should be the inverse. We're living in like inverse times right now.